Hi, my name is Patrick Reagan. Welcome to the Windows installation, Part 2, Installing Windows 10. During this video, we will briefly review the various methods to install Windows and the Windows 10 requirements, and then demonstrate how to install Windows 10 from a bootable USB drive. As always, stick around for the practice questions at the end to test your knowledge and help you prepare for the A+ exam. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to click the like button. And if you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel for more tech training content and technical know-how. Windows 10 can be installed manually by using one of these two methods. Boot with a bootable disk or drive with the Windows installation media and perform the installation, or boot to a network drive with a Pixie boot and perform the installation. Installations of the network can be used to install Windows on multiple computers at the same time using the same image. Expect 1 to 3 hours installation, but it may take longer if you're installing over a slow network. If you want to refresh a computer for a new user, you should consider performing a clean install. A clean install is an installation of an operating system on a computer where the hard drive is formatted and completely erased. Using these methods, you can also perform unintended installations using an unintended answer file that's usually created with Windows System Image Manager or Windows SIM, or alternatively, you can use the website shown on the screen or even AI chat engines. An unintended installation is a zero-touch deployment, which is an automated process for configuring and managing devices without any manual IT intervention. It's the fastest method to install Windows because you don't have to interact with the installation process after it starts. Multiple products can be used for deployment, including Windows Deployment Services, or WDS, and Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which includes Intune and Configuration Manager. When performing an installation, you may need to use the BIOS Setup program to configure the boot device and boot order. For the requirements of Windows 10, first you will need a 32-bit or 64-bit 1 GHz processor. It is recommended to have a 64-bit 4-core processor or better. Second, you need to have 1 GB of RAM for 32-bit or 2 GB of RAM for 64-bit. It is recommended to have a minimum of 8 GB of memory. Next, you'll need 16 GB of hard drive space for 32-bit or 20 GB for 64-bit. It is recommended to have 120 GB of free disk space or larger. You also need a DirectX 9 graphics device with WDDM 1.0 or higher and an 800 by 600 display. Note, if you need partitions larger than 2 terabytes, be sure that you're using GPT partitioning style. When a system starts to boot, it will see a bootable disk. You'll usually have to press a key on the keyboard to start booting from the drive. You'll have to select a keyboard, language, license, and version of Windows. You'll have to accept the license. You will need to select which drive to install to. At this point, it will prep the drive if necessary. It will then copy the Windows files and install Windows. It will install features, and if connected to the internet, it will install updates and then reboot. After Windows reboots, it will take a few minutes to finish the post-installation steps. You will need to select a region in keyboard and eventually prompts you to log in. If you click Domain Join instead, it will not prompt you to join the computer to the domain, but it will prompt you who will be using the computer. This name will become the local user account and administrator. After you specify a password, you'll then be prompted to answer security questions and configure privacy settings. It will then take a few minutes to complete the installation. You can then log into your computer. You would then perform post-installation steps such as add computer to a domain, specify the license key, install updates, install applications, and configure Windows and applications. If you did not have an empty disk during the installation process, you may need to delete the previous partitions by clicking each partition and clicking delete. You also have the option to format disks that has content. If Windows Installation Media does not have a driver for specialized storage hardware, you can use the load driver option to load those additional drivers. If the drive is not being recognized, make sure the drive is connected properly. Ensure that the proper drivers are available and installed. Question: you need to install Windows 10 on an 8 terabyte hard drive. Which of the following should you do? Answer: configure the drive to use GPT. Remember, NBR only supports up to 2 terabytes. Question: you're going to repurpose the computer to a new employee. What should you do? Answer: you should perform a clean install. A clean install will make sure the computer operating system is fresh and clean. Question: you have a system that has the following hardware: dual-core 1.4 GHz processors, 1 GB of memory, 120 GB of disk space, and a 1024 by 767 display adapter and monitor. Which of the following does not support the installation of 64-bit Windows 10? Answer: 1 GB of memory. Question: what type of boot would you use if you want to install Windows over the network? Answer: Pixie boot. Question: what is the fastest method to install Windows? Answer: perform an unintended installation, which is usually done using an answer file. For more information, visit these sites. In summary, if you want to refresh your computer for a new user, you should consider performing a clean install. A clean install is an installation of the operating system on a computer where the hard drive is formatted and completely erased. When performing installation, you may need to use the BIOS setup program to configure the boot device and boot order. Windows 10 can be installed manually by using one of these two methods: boot with a bootable disk or drive with the Windows installation media and perform the installation, and boot to a network drive with a Pixie boot. Using these methods, you can perform unintended installations using an unintended answer file that is usually created with Windows System Image Manager or Windows SIM. The requirements for Windows 10 is 32-bit or 64-bit 1 GHz processor or faster, 1 GB of RAM for 32-bit or 2 GB of RAM for 64-bit, and 16 GB of hard drive space for 32-bit or 20 GB for 64-bit. If you need partitions larger than 2 terabytes, make sure that you're using GBT. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will be installing Windows, Part 3, upgrading from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10. If you like this video, click the like button, and if you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Hatcher Back channel. Thank you.